I think I gave all of my praises and complaints all together, hopefully, succinctly, but that's kind of all that I can really offer. The most that this can kind of really be for me, hopefully, not, I don't want to say hopefully to that. How do I reword it? I don't know. At least currently, for right now, the most that this will be to me is a salve for when one of my favorite games is just going to be gone. Like, it won't be the exact same. It can't be the exact same. And it's probably going to live a lot longer because it's not the exact same. But I can at least appreciate it for the things that it does. Even if the things that I want it to do aren't as close, I suppose, to what I wish it was. But I don't know. I think I can see the charm in it. I think I can understand the appeal that this has for a lot of people and why a lot of, well, needless to say, well, when you're making like multi-billion dollars, like a bunch of the industry is going to try and copy you and figure out what you did right. And yet they'll keep finding different ways of doing it wrong. A lot of games tend to just kind of see like, oh, they're doing a gotcha, and like, oh, the characters are super sexual, or oh, it's taking place in a city. And like they'll take elements and then try to focus on that. But it's really the whole context. Admittedly, I'm saying this in kind of a very... Admittedly, I'm saying this in a very kind of cynical way, because, like, what was that game? What is that game? Neverness to Everness or something like that? And, like, the style, the UI design, at least, is very, Hoyo, especially focused on Zenless. But it's also very focused on being, like, in a giant open city. And you're, like, driving around, you have cars. And it's like, okay, what if Zenless was GTA? And it's like you can take cars and do all this other stuff. I don't even know how the combat in that even looks. There's another game, I think it's called Project Mugen, which is going to be very confusing for a bunch of people who watch Salty Bet. That is like, okay, what if we did Zenless, but you could swing around the city like the Insomniac Spider-Man. Though I think it's not like that's entirely a new thing that the industry has been doing. Like they'll always look at like successful games, successful stories, and be like, oh, what did they do? And then we can just try to take the part that we think is the most important thing. Like Insomniac Spider-Man had really good swinging. What if we take that? Zenless is set in a city. What if we do that, but then add cars from like GTA? Like, it's not new. For as much as we constantly like to pretend that we're original and that we make new things, creatives, especially in anything that we choose to be the medium we curse with our presence, we just ape ideas from other things that came before and think that, okay, what if we either do this better than they did it, or what if we try to copy them in a way? It's not new, and it's not necessarily cynical. Hell, that's why first-person shooters were called like Doom-likes for a very long time. But you can't just take one part of something that was successful and say that's the part that made it successful. Sometimes it's everything. Sometimes it's the good parts. Sometimes it's the part that you really like. Sometimes it's the part that you really don't like. Sometimes it's the mix of how they balance out. Like, that's why so many games and so many developers that try to copy Persona's social link system don't do it right. Like, they don't get it right. Liza P understands what makes Souls like work. Yeah, you can take different parts of it like that. Welcome Pillar. Like, Liza P very, very, very clearly takes a lot of inspiration from Bloodborne. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, that's what helped a lot of people catch attention to it. But then it also did something that was very unique. The mixing of the handles and the weapons themselves. Like, I don't know what they took that from. I don't know if that was either completely original or inspired because, like, they played something that had a very similar mechanic. But, like... hell, even Hoyo isn't free of that. Like, Genshin, a lot of people... the only reason a lot of people even paid a lot of attention to it was because it was like, oh, look, it's Breath of the Wild, but you can play for free and it's a gacha. And, like, that was the main way that, like, I heard a lot of people talking about that game. And then it became its own multi-billion-dollar monster that a bunch of other games are trying to copy. And they're not understanding why they took the inspirations that they did or the things that they're doing, because it's like, well, Genshin did it, so that means that we should do it and then we'll be just as successful. But that's not the case. Like, yeah, Genshin did it, and they did it because they were stealing a bunch of ideas from Breath of the Wild, but Breath of the Wild wasn't super unique in the individual mechanics. It was how a lot of the systems work together. The big chemistry system is still very unique to Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. And that's not something that Genshin copied. There's no way that they could have. Like, it's completely unique. But, like, that's just kind of what the industry is. You see different ideas, then you mix them together. Sometimes you get something that's either unique in the way that it forms those ideas together, or it just kind of finds a way of blending everything that it does right. Like, I was talking about how this has a, not necessarily even a day and night cycle, it has a soft schedule and a morning, noon, and afternoon, and night, I guess, time segments, which is very Persona. But it doesn't, well, at least the way that I've seen it so far is that doesn't really change much. It's not like specific people, well, I know that there is like a hanging out mechanic, so that's probably later. But like, as it is introduced to me right now, it serves nothing more than changing how the city, or at least this street, looks. And admittedly, I really like it. Like, I like the idea that, like, I can kind of just sit up here and look down at the street and see people walking about. Even if they're NPCs that don't really have a set destination or things that they're actually doing. I can just, like, take a little peek, see what that guy's doing on his phone. See somebody hanging out somewhere by the arcade. Somebody by the newsstand. I can look up and see an orange sky as the sun beams down at me. And admittedly, the music is working. Like, it's very easing, it's soothing. Like, it's a very nice contrast from the very frenetic combat Like, it's not... It's not that you can take this part of the game and then separate it from just the combat part of it, because both parts complement each other. That's why finding out how to like balance this audio for this game is such a nightmare, because like it is that contrast of really high highs and then really soothing lows. Like that's the, at least to me, as far as I can kind of see it from my current perspective, is like that's the appeal. It's the appeal that you can kind of come out here, relax, get a coffee and watch the animation play, get like ramen that you can either use for buffs or just because you like the animation. I got a lot of gripes with Hoyo, but they're very good at taking inspiration from other works and understanding how to implement into their own games, making it work and actually add something to experience. Yeah. Like, there's a reason why Genshin worked the way that it did, especially when that it did. There's a reason why Star Rail pulled me in. Star Rail is effectively an ATB game. Like, you can manipulate turn order. And like it felt like a version of Final Fantasy where speed significantly matters more than it used to. Like, it felt like a mix of something between like a classic FF and something like Bravely Default with the turn manipulation. But then you combine that with the various different settings. You have the unique way it does combat, the way that it does buffs and debuffs. Combine that with just having a bunch of side games that you can eventually do. Like, they do mix things together. As cynical as like you really can be about like gacha systems and the gacha mechanics, and the way that Hoyo has very much influenced the now we can say like past half decade of mobile titles. Like, there's a reason why so many people like their games. Like, in however many successes that they've had, in all the ways that like they do have these different monetary avenues, there is a core experience that was very consciously designed by real people, like real people who very clearly played Breath of the Wild. There are a lot of people who watched Evangelion. Like, there are people who grew up very likely enjoying a lot of the same media that a lot of the people who play their games do. Like, this isn't like this shot here. Like, this shot here, this isn't something that you get by making by committee. Like, sure, there's probably some parts of internal testing. Sure, there's probably like focus groups to see like, okay, how far should we have like this to that and then have this all connected. But like, this feeling, this aesthetic, the memes that they end up doing, the memes that they slide into the dialogue, the fact that you can just see characters hanging around and you can chat with them. Can I get an advance on this month's salary? Like, no, know they know they know the experience that they want to give their fans, because they also know that it's an experience that in some part that they've also wanted to experience. Like, what's their tagline? What was it? Otakus save the world? Like, gaming otakus save the world. Like, that's the like undertitle of their company name. Like, it's not a faceless evil tech otakus save the world. Yeah, thank you. It's not like sure, there's gonna be probably some board members and stuff like EA or like people, like money people who are like really smart about that. The Mia Mihalia does stand for Miku. Like, yeah, no, they're otaku. Honkai Third Impact was very, I remember it because it was plastered all over Honkai Impact and it was goofy but also super endearing. Yeah, like that's that's the appeal. Honkai Impact was like very inspired by Evangelion, and then they had an official Eva collab. And admittedly, I really liked the Asuka design in that collab. But like, yeah, you don't get that from people who are just like, oh, what if we throw a profitable idea next to profitable idea? Like, no, these are, to be like sentimental, these are kin. These are my kin. These are people who grew up watching anime. These are people who grew up playing these video games. Like, they have genuine love for the medium and the things that they're referencing. And at a certain point, I do just respect that. Because, like, how can you not? And I don't think that's something that a lot of other gachas kind of really, I don't want to say get, but like they don't enact it the same way. Like, it doesn't come out the same way. It feels like a lot of it is them kind of playing lip service or being as close to what they think that people like, or somewhat showing their hand and like, yeah, we kind of like this thing. That's why Wua has a reference to a chair at the top of a mountain, because of DMC5, referencing Virgil. Like, yeah, there's little references and stuff like that, because, like, no, that shows where their inspiration comes from. A lot of the people in the games industry, either from, like, America and Canada and Europe and Japan and Korea and China, like, no, these are kin. They're all people who grew up liking very similar things, playing very, very similar things. Like, I can't see this guy who gives you food and the food gives you buffs for your next few fights.
Have you had dinner yet? A full stomach ensures a good night's sleep.
Like, I can't watch this and not think in some part that this was, of course, inspired by, like, Monster Hunter World. Like, how can I deny that? Like, how can I deny seeing that? How can I deny seeing, like, hit flashes, indicators showing where enemies are attacking off screen, the, like, giant red circles and blue circles over the ground, like, indicating where the attack's coming out, and not think, oh, that's like Final Fantasy. That's like Final Fantasy 14. Like, no, these are people who are fans of these things just as much as I am. And even if, like, they get, like, a bunch of people who end up playing these games who have never played or ever heard of those other games, Like me getting mad about the stupid the stupid stack of TVs. Like the fact that I can't see this and not think of Persona 4. At a certain point, that has to be intentional. Like, I can't be as cynical as I want to be. I can't just say, oh, evil soulless company. Because, like, no, there's too many references, there's too many jokes, there's too many things that feel genuine. Maybe that's me being clouded by the number of references. But at a certain point, like, you can't make something as an artist, from my own experience, it is legitimately impossible to make something and not have your influences bleed through somehow. Like, they always come through, no matter how minor, no matter how explicit, no matter how unintentional. Like, they always bleed through. And I think that's neat. But yeah, I think that's it for now. I didn't intend to go on to that. It wasn't, I don't want to say like a tirade or a rant, but yeah, considering like my experience with Hoyo, I never really
ready and waiting.
Because I very much bounced off of Genshin. And I've
let's take a break.
Kind of fell off of Honkai not Third Impact. I fell off of Honkai Star Rail. It's a nice segment to listen to. Thank you. I should probably highlight it then. But yeah. Even if I'm kind of only using a combat as a little bit of a surrogate to deal with the inevitable loss of Tribe 9, I don't know. Maybe I'll learn to stop worrying and love Zenless.